In this week's Parshas Naso, we receive one of the most important lessons that we possibly could benefit from in terms of our Avodas Hashem. The service of HaKadosh Baruch Hu entails a hearkening to his mitzvos, seeing to it that we perform that which we are supposed to be engaged in, seeing to it that we distance ourselves from that which we're not supposed to be partaking of. And it's such an arduous challenge. And for most of us, it takes a lifetime to get it near right. But the Seder Naso adds another dimension to our Avodas Hashem, and that's the need for objectivity. In this week's Parshas Naso, we come across the notion of a Nazir. A Nazir is an individual who takes upon himself to separate himself willfully, determinably, from any kind of form of wine, from taking any kind of a haircut, and from having any contact with a mace, any contact with a dead individual. And on the one hand, the Gemara tells us, based upon the pasuk, "V'zos Torah hanazir b'yom alos yemei nizro yavi oso apesach o moed." He has to draw himself near and bring himself to the opening of the o moed, to bring a chatas, to bring a korban that is offered when one has sinned, because he's a chote. Why is he a sinner? Lefishet tzir esasmo min hayayin, because he removed himself willfully, not per the command of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, from the joy of being able to drink wine. But on the other hand, the pasuk tells us, "Kadoshihi yegadol peras sa'arosho," that in this ordeal, he's also referred to as a kadosh, as one who is very holy. So which is it? Is he a holy person for superimposing upon himself that which he was not commanded to do? Or is he a chote? Is he a sinner for having done so? And comes along the Meshech Chachma, and he points out to us, what does the pasuk tells us regarding the chatas that's to be brought when he has finished his days of Nazirus? V'zos Torah hanazir b'yom alos yemei nizro yavi oso al pesach o moed. And on that day, yavi oso, he has to bring, it doesn't say, as Rashi says, yavi esasmo, he has to bring himself. Yavi oso, he has to bring him, as if we're talking about a third party, as if he's removed from the person who is being brought to the Ohel Moed to bring the sacrifice for having sinned. And says the Meshech Chachma, we're given a life by a Kodesh Baruch Hu that is filled with wonderful things to partake of. Wine, proper hair length, beautiful clothing, delicious food, intimacy, beautiful homes potentially, trips. It says in Meshech Chachma, all that HaKadosh Baruch Hu has given to us to benefit from and to utilize appropriately in our Avodas Hashem, well, sometimes we're at risk for those things taking us afar from what we're supposed to be engaged in and where we're supposed to find ourselves. And therefore, suggests the Meshech Chachma, he says, note, there is no specific time that the Torah assigns a Nazir for his days of Nazirus. We say, Stam Nazirus Shloshim Yom. If one is not articulated otherwise, then it's a 30-day period of separation. But different people, different folks, different strokes. Every so often in life, suggests the Meshech Chachma, we have to take a step back with objectivity to look at our Avodas Hashem and to look at what HaKadosh Baruch Hu has given us and what we have afforded ourselves from that which is permitted us, to see whether we're using it properly in serving him. And when we look into the water, as that young Nazir who came from the south, seen by Reb Shimon HaTzadik, had noted, when we look in the water to see our reflection, we have to see, is our hair beautiful and long? Is our hair the way it should be kept for our Avodas Hashem? Or is it being kept in a way, is it a length or a style that perhaps is giving us a sense of arrogance? Or maybe it's causing us to look in the mirror a little too often. Not to be appropriately kempt, but rather to look smart enough to be attracting others. We have to look and see that which we're using as gifts from HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Is it being used appropriately and realistically to serve him better, to feel that we live with a sense of shalom and a sense of manucha, a sense of serenity, in order to serve him better and wisely? Or is it taking us somewhat astray? And therefore, there is no specific time that we're assigned in Nazirus. It's all about affording ourselves an ability to be objective and step back and to take a look and to see what we are typically making use of and engaged in, but now have distanced ourselves from. How's it working? Are we using it to become closer? Or is it taking us farther from our Avodas Hashem? And that's why Nazirus can be indeed a scenario of chet, shetzir sasmum manayayim. If we refuse to engage in and to use that which HaKadosh Baruch Hu has given us because we simply don't want to make any use of it and are refusing the blessings of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And it could also be Kedusha, Kodoshihiyah, because we're using it in a positive way to see where we're holding. Because our Avodas Hashem of engaging in all the do's that HaKadosh Baruch Hu commands us and keeping ourselves afar from all the don'ts that HaKadosh Baruch Hu doesn't want us to be engaged in, we have to do all of that with a sense of objectivity, a sense of honesty, looking in the mirror and asking ourselves, who are you? Are you the best that HaKadosh Baruch Hu has effectively wished you to be and enabled you to be, given what he has given you, using it properly? Or perhaps you're using it a little too much and it's tearing you down. Nazirus, a wonderful thing. Objectivity in our Avodas Hashem. Yavi also a Pesach o a Moed. To look at ourselves from afar with objectivity and to judge ourselves accordingly, seeing where we're holding and whether we're using what we have in the best way that we can. Have a wonderful Shabbos.